Hi, this is John from MJG Education. This presentation for the PTE Academic is about reading, writing, fill in the blanks. This presentation will discuss test instructions, test procedure, things you need to know to be test-wise, grammar and more grammar, test procedure and a hint, 3 practice examples, and a conclusion. On your test, the instructions will be the same. Below is the text with blanks. Click on each blank and a list of choices will appear. Select the appropriate answer for each blank. Generally, the test procedure is as follows. Skim the whole text. Use knowledge of collocation and grammar to help you predict what kind of word will fit in the blank. Eliminate inappropriate options. This is very important because you can usually eliminate 2 right away. Read each sentence in your head several times. Try each remaining option. Listen to the way the sentence sounds. In my English classes growing up, whenever they said, listen to the way the sentence sounds, we always were talking about gerunds and infinitives. Gerunds can only follow prepositions, but there's certain verbs gerunds follow, and there's certain verbs infinitives follow, and there's certain verbs where both gerunds and infinitives follow. Reread the text to make sure it makes sense. Guess the answer if you don't know. There will be 5 or 6 reading, writing, fill in the blanks on the test. Reading texts are up to 300 words long. The background to most of the texts for reading, writing, fill in the blanks is science. Usually the topic has something to do with science, and the language is always formal, which usually means less gerunds, as opposed to fill in the blanks, where the language is more informal and there are more gerunds. I'll talk about that in a moment. This task affects your reading and writing score a little bit. Scoring 1 point for each correct answer, but you should notice that this is the highest scoring task in the reading section. 20 to 24 marks, depending on whether you get 5 or 6. But this is the big score, so you have to do really well on this part of the test. In terms of grammar, we talk about infinitives and gerunds in a text. Now, because this is reading, writing, fill in the blanks, you're not going to use gerunds. You don't want to choose a gerund as an answer for reading, writing, fill in the blanks, because they're usually considered informal, okay? So the infinitives are what you would use. Infinitives use the base form of a verb and the word to, so to run is fun. This is a noun. When you say to run is fun, to run, the subject of that sentence, is considered a noun. Gerunds are present participles. That's the grammatical term for a gerund. It's a present participle that has an ing ending, okay? For example, running, talking, and walking. In this form, with ing, they are considered nouns too, though they even look like verbs. So in a sentence like running is good exercise, running would be considered a gerund and a noun. These are considered informal, so you're not going to choose them as an answer. With reading, writing, fill in the blanks, infinitives are used more often because the language used is formal, not informal as with fill in the blanks. So there's always a constant comparison between these two, reading, writing, fill in the blanks, and fill in the blanks. However, you may be given answers that include 4 gerunds. In this case, you're going to have to use your knowledge of collocations, words that are used frequently in combination with each other, to give a proper answer. Okay, that's the difficulty that comes up between gerunds and infinitives. Let me just give you an example here in a moment. Here are some typical examples, grammar examples, that will be used on reading, writing, fill in the blanks on your test. So earlier I was talking about gerunds. I don't have any infinitive responses here for you, but I do have gerunds. This is what I was referring to. You could get a statement here in 1 where all answer responses are gerunds. So you're going to have to figure out which is the best one here, right? Researchers have engineered a low-cost metal that could become the basis for engines that run at higher speeds. And they will reduce the need for energy consuming, energy engrossing, energy absorbing, energy devouring hydraulic engines. So how would you choose here which is the correct answer? So you'd have to go through them. Is energy consuming? Do you hear that a lot in the real world when you read? Energy engrossing, this doesn't seem to make sense because it seems to make energy bigger. Energy absorbing seems kind of accurate because they run at higher speeds and reduce the need for energy, or these hydraulic engines. So that one's kind of close. Energy devouring you wouldn't use because this is an opinion when you say it's devouring, right? So you eliminate that one. I think you can eliminate energy engrossing, and this is the situation you're usually down to. You have to choose one of 2. Which one do you hear more often? And this is where callocation would take over. Energy consuming would probably be the correct answer in this case. Let's look at the second one. Number 2. An international research team has discovered an ancient ship during its ongoing digging, excavation, tunneling, exhuming off the coast of Egypt. Now here, 3 of the possible answers are gerunds. Don't choose them. Choose the noun here with the tion ending. Excavation would be the correct answer. You always eliminate the gerunds. In the third one here, it says India's overall tiger population has seen the worst decays, decline, degenerations drop in 45 years, mainly because of poaching, according to the Indian Status Report launched at the 17th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to CITES. A couple things to note here. When you get something like this, when it says the worst, that's a superlative. Now, if you think about it, superlative forms are adjectives. The worst what? And it's usually not plural. Like, he's the worst player. He's the worst talker. But it usually doesn't have a plural ending like an S on it. Worst decays. You would say the worst decay is proper English. So eliminate the S here and eliminate the S here. These 2 are gone. So what are you left with? You're left with 2 words, decline and drop. Which word is more formal? And that's the word you would choose, decline, and that'll always be correct. So that's what you got to remember here. The other thing you should note is when they self-reference the text that they're talking about. In number 3, it's the Indian Status Report launched at the 17th meeting of the conference, blah, blah, blah. That is just it's self-referential for a reason. It's telling you or reminding you that this is a very formal text. So you should think scientific background, eliminate gerunds, and you'll do well on this task. When the test instructions suggest, you should know maybe which word will properly fit into each blank. What they're really saying is, 1, if you know which part of speech you're looking for, a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb, a conjunction, a preposition, a pronoun, an interjection, rarely. Then, 2, you should know the different endings or suffix forms of words because they are essential to the meaning. So to know the word you're looking for is great. You know, if you can tell the part of speech and then you can see the suffix ending and say that's probably close, that's what I'm looking for, that's great. Also remember that meaning is derived from just that, the individual word, if you understand what the word means. But there's also a context involved as well, and that will help you decide if you're using the correct word or not. It helps decide the function. For example, this is common with second language students. You know, let's say you're invited into somebody's house, you step in, you close the door, and the person says to you, the coffee is on the counter. Now, most people might take that literally. The coffee is on the counter. It's placed on the counter over there. But what the person is saying, what they really mean, is the function of the language is that they're offering you a cup of coffee. When they say the coffee is on the counter, that means the coffee is there for you. Would you like a cup of coffee? So a lot of times you don't understand maybe the function of the statement, but you understand it literally. And that's what's going on in these sorts of questions. You have 4 words in front of you. They're asking you which one fits. If you understand the word and what it means, that's great. You're probably going to get it right there maybe. But there's also a wider context of how that word is fitting into that larger sentence. And that's where you get thrown sometimes. This is why I'm saying you can usually eliminate 2 right away. If you know the word, you probably could throw away 2 words right away. You have 2 left. Always choose the more formal word and you're probably going to be correct. If not, you know, read the context, read the sentence again, and you should be able to figure it out. You might want to try this procedure for the upcoming examples. Skim the whole text. Use knowledge of collocation and grammar, parts of speech, suffixes, meanings of words and their context to help predict what kind of word will fit. Very important, eliminate inappropriate options. Usually there's 2. Read each sentence in your head several times and then try each remaining option. Here's the hint. You can always eliminate 2 options immediately because they do not fit. The meaning is off, perhaps due to the context, it's just awkward, or too informal. Then choose the word that is most formal of the remaining 2 options, and you probably have it correct every time. you might want to pause your screen immediately and give yourself approximately 2 minutes to do the 3 upcoming examples on the following slides. So the next slide, you should pause, wait 2 minutes. 5 seconds later, you'll get the answer. And then repeat for examples 2 and 3. In conclusion, reading helps. For reading, writing, fill in the blanks, you can try this online magazine Science. Just to give you one example, you probably have many others. Try to become familiar with as many different fields of science as possible. So, chemistry, biology, physics, that's a place to start. But then you can branch out from there. And a good magazine or a couple magazines that you read will help you spread wide and get to know many fields. This is important because sometimes they'll use a collocation that's particular to a specific field of science, and that will catch you. When you're trying to figure out the context, if you knew a particular word or phrase is particular to an area of science, you'll be able to put the correct word in the right context a lot faster. So reading really does help. You can follow MJG Education on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Tumblr. We'll be updating that constantly, as with our homepage. We specialize in tutorials for the time being, as our website is being developed. So tutorials in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. We also do lots of mock tests that include feedback, oral feedback, if we do them through Zoom, and of course you'll get feedback in a written form as well. We like to emphasize too that we're a Canadian company. You can save 35% if you're dealing with companies that charge you in US dollars. By all means, come back and check us out. We'll save you a fortune. Anyways, thank you very much and have a nice day wherever you are.